Hours after US President Donald Trump said that a deal with Iran has been largely negotiated, details have emerged about what the two sides have agreed upon and what has been left to negotiations in the near future. Now, according to a report by Axios, the agreement involves extending the ceasefire by 60 days, which could be further extended mutually. And during these 60 days, the Strait of Hormuz would be reopened, and Iran would not charge any toll for ships transiting through the waterway. Further, Iran will clear mines laid in the Hormuz Strait to allow ships to move freely. In exchange, the US would lift its blockade on Iranian ports and issue some sanctions waivers to allow Iran to sell its oil freely. Now, US officials say that the agreement also includes a commitment from Iran to not pursue nuclear weapons. Further, US and Iran will negotiate to suspend Iran's uranium enrichment program and remove its stockpile of highly enriched uranium. The report further says that US has agreed to negotiate lifting sanctions on Iran and release its frozen assets during this 60-day truce extension. However, US forces in the region will continue to stay until a final deal is reached between the two sides. And lastly, the war on the Lebanese front between Israel and Hezbollah will also come to an end under the agreement. Interestingly, the report mentions that Iran has committed to not pursue nuclear weapons, but Iran's Fars news agency has rejected this claim, saying no commitment has been made regarding Tehran's nuclear program. It has also called Trump's Truth Social post on the peace deal a propaganda. Earlier, Iran's foreign ministry spokesperson Ismail Baghei had said that Tehran is in the final stages of finalizing a memorandum of understanding with the United States. Baghei said that Iran's nuclear program is not part of the current discussions. Iranian media reports have also rejected Trump's claim that reopening the Strait of Hormuz is part of the proposed agreement. According to Iranian media, Tehran has agreed to allow the number of ships passing through the Strait of Hormuz to pre-war levels, but it would continue to exercise control over the strategic waterway. Both sides are yet to officially announce any formal agreement, but the contrasting claims from both Washington and Tehran, they signal continued differences between the two sides. And for more on this, we're now being joined by Dr. Volker Stanzel, former German ambassador to China and senior distinguished fellow at SWP. Thank you so much, Dr. Stanzel, for joining us on the broadcast. Now, Marco Rubio has just now hinted at some good news on the Strait of Hormuz, saying that progress has been made over the past 48 hours. And if that works out, it would result in a completely open Strait of Hormuz, which Iranian media reports they have rejected as being part of the proposed agreement. In fact, they've said that Iran would continue to exercise control over the strategic waterway. And we understand this is a very delicate matter of global significance. Which version is to be believed at this juncture?
Well, the whole situation, I think, is pretty delicate because we get positive messages, we get skeptical messages, and all have a lot of going for them. Take the Strait of Hormuz example. I mean, to have authority over the Strait of Hormuz has become a strong weapon in the hands of Iran. So why would they ever give it up? Because that brings them the possibility to exert pressure on the United States and other countries, not only to pay for passage through the Strait of Hormuz, but also to stop bombing and attacking Iranian goals. And at the same time, we see that President Trump is under pressure domestically to come to an end with the war. At the same time, obviously, he has not reached his goals, which is to force Iran to give up its nuclear activities. Now, Iran has given up, or has already signed on giving up nuclear activities in 2015. And it was Trump who then ripped apart the contract over that. So why would he agree to it now? So you see there are a lot of complicated issues still on the table, and it's hard to see how they could be resolved easily. Again, international pressure is strong, and let's hope that it will have an effect.
Absolutely, Dr. Stanzel, and we understand that the Strait of Hormuz is just one of the two sticking points, and the other, of course, remains the uranium enrichment. And interestingly, the report mentions that Iran has committed to not pursue nuclear weapons. But again, Iran's Fars news agency has rejected this claim as well, saying no commitment has been made regarding Iran's nuclear program. And it has also called Trump's Truth Social post on the peace deal a propaganda. Now, if there is no concession on, both of the main contentious issues, which were keeping the two sides sticking very closely to their red lines, how are you reading into this?
Well, let me take the nuclear issue. The nuclear issue is something that Iran has committed to not pursue nuclear arms years and years ago. It is a religious commitment which the then head of the Iranian government took. I think Ahmadinejad, who is still there and who is still involved in the issue. So Iran has been saying it will not pursue a nuclear arms program, but that does not mean that it will not pursue the peaceful usage of nuclear energy. And that is, of course, it will not want to give up. So that may take a long time to negotiate about.
Absolutely. We hear you, Dr. Stancil, but is there any reason for us to believe that this is perhaps the beginning of the end based on the statements that are coming in, which are being met with the counter statements that are coming in from Iran? Do you think, are we seriously any closer to a breakthrough at this juncture, despite the positive rhetoric that's coming in from Washington?
After what we've seen in the past weeks, I think there's much reason to be skeptical. At the same time, pressure domestically in the U.S. on the government, on Trump, is very strong. So that gives us reason to be at least qualifiedly optimistic. The similar thing is true for Iran, where you see that Iran has shown that it is strong enough to use the arm, which it is the passage through the Strait of Hormuz. But at the same time, there is international pressure on it. I assume India, which has a traditional good relationship with Iran, is talking to it. I'm pretty sure that the Arab countries, which are not friends of Iran, but have a working relationship developed over the past decades, beginning with Qatar all the way to Saudi Arabia, are talking to Tehran and exert pressure so that we come to a resolution of the conflict there. So I think international pressure is an enormous factor, an important factor to take into consideration. And I think for me, the bottom line is that today we have more reason to be optimistic than we had a few days ago.
Absolutely, Dr. Stancil. On that note, we'll of course have to wait and see how this situation develops from here. But for now, thank you so much for joining us on the broadcast and sharing your perspective with us.
You're welcome.